What business are we in, Logan? What do we do?
You know, some people say we sell life insurance.
What do you think we do?
We're just taking over the world.
Welcome to the first ever 20-something sales podcast with none other than Roy Clancy.
And Logan Merritt.
Logan, what do you think people want to hear, man?
Dude, I think people just want to learn about sales and go out and crush it. And I think we've learned a lot through our experiences going door to door and trying out various different types of, you know, sales tactics and all the stuff we've done. I feel like we have a pretty good amount of knowledge to add some value to people. And I think what we've learned over our years is actually very valuable.
Good answer. You print that out and...
Yeah, I just use ChatGPT. And no, that was...
So why don't you explain to the people, you know, what we've done? Like, why did you get started in sales? Why did you get started in sales instead of... You know, because most people that go to UNL, you know, don't they, you know, most of your fraternity brothers, what did they go into? Did a lot of them go into sales, or was it...
Yeah, I think
like
a lot of
finance, you know, corporate or investment banking was always a big one.
Infinite banking.
It never ends.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
Infinite banking, you can think about that one for a while.
I think you have a good take on why a lot of people choose sales. It's because they're actually just the laziest people ever.
Yeah.
What's the easiest way to make a lot of money?
Mm-hmm.
Probably sales.
In a short period of time.
Yeah, I'd say. No, I think I always knew I was going to do sales. My dad, like all my dad's friends were always like, they would always like dub him as like the best salesman they've ever met.
Your dad?
Like, yeah. So I was like, that's kind of cool. So I think I wanted to do sales since I was younger, just because I saw my dad crushing it. I feel like I always knew I was going to end up in sales, but it kind of worked out. I got recruited to Southwestern by Logan, and
so what was that conversation like? I mean, we can explain what Southwestern is later, but what was that conversation like with Logan when he told you about the summer sales job?
He caught me at a really good time because it was right after COVID, and it was right after like the first COVID summer, and I didn't do anything. Like I'd played.
Right.
I was working a 80-hour work week on my PS5 that summer, so I was definitely due.
Damn,
for like,
you had the PS5?
Dude, yeah, I did.
That's
I got the
pretty cool.
PS5 like right when it came out.
Nice.
But yeah, so
So you're just playing a lot of video games?
Just playing a lot of
video.
video. A whole lot. Yeah, just being a lazy bum. And then the next summer I was like, all right, like I got to start making money. Like I got to start paying for rent and stuff. Checking account was getting low. And Logan was just telling me about the internship and how he made like, you know, I think it was $12,000 his first summer. And I was like, geez, if Logan made $12,000, I could probably make at least 15.
I could make 120,000. Yeah, like based off Logan's skill set, I could.
No,
Logan's the man.
No, but yeah, so the money definitely brought me in, and I ended up crushing it and making way more than I thought I could. So it worked out.
Yeah.
How did you get involved with Southwestern?
My buddy from high school, he was we played basketball and baseball together, and he texted me when I was going to my first semester in college up in Minnesota. He was actually trying to get my older brother Jimmy's phone number to text him about Southwestern. He had never even done the program yet, but his dad sold books for 2 summers, and so I remember him texting me and being like, "We got to be sharks. Like your dad's a shark, my dad's a shark. We got to be sharks." I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Dude really likes sharks.
Up.
That dude really likes sharks.
Love sharks.
I think there's a little bit of tism there.
I think he might have a little bit of tism, and it was Shark Week.
Oh, yeah, it kind of
Shark
Week. Yeah,
but that's cool. So, yeah, I think that one thing that's interesting is, you know, like if you would have had a job the summer before and would have had, you know, like a decent amount of money, maybe some type of finance internship, you might not have been uncomfortable enough to want to actually do something that challenging. It seems like most of the time people don't really make big decisions like that unless they get super, super uncomfortable with their situation.
Yeah,
know?
for sure.
And I don't think like the best salespeople aren't lazy. They just see like, I think they get bored really easily. And then they also don't really like doing stuff that's boring or just seems, I don't know. Most of the time, they don't really like getting told what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So they like that.
Yeah, that's an interesting point of like, yeah, like if I had probably like anything that was somewhat made sense, if I had like something lined up of anything that made sense of like, oh, this is a pretty safe route where I can make a decent amount of money, like there's probably a good chance I would have just done that instead of sold books, just because of how uncomfortable that unknown is of like, hey, you're going to go to some random place and work 80 hours a week and
have no idea how much money you're going to make or if you're going to make any money.
Yeah, or if it's even real.
Yeah, who this guy is that's recruiting. Well, you knew the guy that was recruiting
I knew Logan.
The guy that recruited me, Shane, he's awesome. He's like super good friend now, but he was just this dude on Skype, you know.
Oh my God. Like, yeah, you're a different animal.
Yeah. I was living in my sister's basement on these Skypes and
go into how crazy that is. Like for people that might not know what like selling books is, like some dude on Skype tells you what? Like what does this dude on Skype tell you?
Okay, well for me, so the interview process with Southwestern, you kind of get introduced through the info session. So they explain the history of the company and, you know, the pros and cons, and they start naming names like, you know, famous people that have done the program like Kevin Stitt and stuff. You're like, oh, cool. Wow, like, oh,
Governor
did this? Oh, all right.
Is that what drew you in? Kevin Stitt?
I didn't even know who he was.
We got to get Kevin.
I mean, he might not have even been the governor, but I would have believed it. You know, I don't know who the governor of Oklahoma is. But anyway, at the end of the meeting, you know, Shane was really good at, you know, being like, you know, selective or whatever. Mm. And so by the end of it, I was like, oh man, I really want to like impress this dude, you know, because he's wearing a suit and I'm wearing a t-shirt laying in my bed, like with the Zoom thing propped up so he can't see that I'm in my bed. Yeah. You know? And
man, the power of a suit.
Suits have a lot of power.
When you're in college and you're talking to a dude
in like a dude in a suit, you're like, man, sheesh. I only got like 7 pairs of underwear, you know? But he
running out of socks, dude.
He was like,
after suit on.
After the first info session, I go upstairs and I'm like, I tell my sister about it. And she's like, I don't know, like 10 years older than me. And I'm like, yeah, like I might be getting this internship this summer, like, you know, in sales and marketing. It's like a whole like Dan Moore.
I might get selected.
Yeah, I might get selected. She's like, oh, that's so cool. What's it in? I'm like, yeah, it's like marketing and sales and stuff. And company's been around for forever. You can get college credit, blah, blah, blah. You don't tell them it's door to door and straight commission, you know? But I remember by that third interview, like I put a lot into my like presentation to like why I should be selected. So I was in. Mm-hmm. Like it wasn't like I never went cold. I gave him and then we team membered. So like my brother, a couple of my buddies, and the guy that told me about it, he was on that team. We had the #1 team in the world that year, actually. It was pretty cool. A bunch of random.
Your first year?
Yeah.
Where were you?
I was in New York. Yeah. Huh. But it was a bunch of random community college guys from Kansas, you know?
Yeah.
Bunch of rednecks out there just slinging books. So, but no, that was pretty cool. And that first summer, I felt like that was, you know, you remember your first. Well, you had a great first summer though. So
yeah, I did pretty good.
I mean, did you like, you know, like for me, man, by week 2, I'd probably made like 75 cents or something like that. I tallied up my first week. I sold like actual units. I think I sold like 7 units or something. Like if I looked at my canvassing chart, it was like
you sold 7 units in 2 weeks.
Like in the first 3 or 4 days. No, not 7. Probably like 20 units.
Yeah.
Which
you're getting beat up.
7 units is like.
Were you sitting on curbs?
Basically like selling those world's finest chocolate candy bars, you know.
Were you sitting on curbs or were you working?
No, I was working my tail off.
Working your tail off.
Working my tail off, just selling 7 units, dude. And like 5 of those units happened in the first goal period of the first day. But what was that first summer like for you? Because I mean, did it feel like that?
Yeah.
Hard or?
Oh yeah, it was way harder than I thought it was gonna be.
What was your first couple weeks? Those first 3 weeks, was it? I mean, were you just scrapping, or did you kind of figure it out?
Dude, it was brutal. It really was. It was like, I knew it was going to be tough, but I was like, I know the sales talk word for word. Yeah. I was like, oh, I'll be fine. But then you get out there and you like the sales talk just escapes. Like when you're talking to your first few people.
Oh yeah, you get in that first house. Dude, I remember getting in the house and I was sitting down on the on the floor, sitting down on the floor, and like when you're getting ready for the summer, you memorize the Advantage Sales Talk, which is like the educational books and apps for like middle school, high school.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't really think about the kids' sales talk until sales school. At least that's what it was like when I was in. So I get in the house and they've got like a 2-year-old. And so I'm like, going through you forget the intro. And then I pull out the book
Mm-hmm.
and then you like hand them the book, you know? You're like,
Yeah.
That seemed pretty cool.
Yeah. No, that's nuts.
Yeah. It's crazy.
But yeah, so
Those first couple days are nuts.
yeah,
For me, those are nuts.
So my first few days, like my first day, I like forgot that I was supposed to be demoing the books. Like I was just
You were just talking to people?
I was just talking to people.
Just
dude.
giving ideas.
Well, it was like halfway through my first day, and like I'm just getting like no's, obviously.
Yeah.
You know. But I forgot I was supposed to like show them the book anyway, even though that they told me.
Oh,
no.
you're talking about like at the door?
Yeah, like I was forgetting to get my door demos in.
Yeah.
So I was like halfway through the day, I was like, oh my, how did I forget to do my,
like 5
because
demos.
you know how important it is to get your 30 demos. Like they're harping on you all of sales.
Yeah.
Like 30 demos or you're dead.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of funny. It's just like.
So what did you do? Like how many demos did you get that first day?
I still got 30.
Really?
Yeah. I was getting a lot of no's though.
I got
how
like
easy.
something like 180 demos my first day.
I bet.
Just showing books to the mailman.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'd go on the freeway and just start showing books to cars driving by.
You just count every car.
Count every one of them.
But you know how it's like super hard to get like when you become like more experienced and better at the job, sometimes it's hard to get your 30 demos in because you're sitting down with so many people.
Yeah. Well, that's a good problem.
It's a really good problem. But yeah, when it's your first day, you can get
First day, it ain't hard to get.
You can get like 50 demos because everyone's just like, nope, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. But anyway, it's a great program. I mean, I sold for 5 summers. Anybody that's sold door to door, I mean, you learn so much about people and just about like your own bandwidth. Because if you're out there, I think the beauty of the program too is I wasn't in my hometown. Like I wasn't selling close to any of my friends or anything like that. So that actually, for me, was a huge plus. Like when I learned I didn't have to sell stuff to friends and family, I was like, oh heck yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
That is kind of the nice part, especially like
because most like sales programs, especially if you're 18 or 19, you kind of have to sell to your friends and family. Like I got recruited for an insurance company called well, I don't have to name the name, but anyway, it didn't, it was kind of like selling to friends and family when I was like 18, but I never sold just because I don't even know what I was talking about, but yeah, I really like that. And then you're just out in the wilderness basically. And then you have to you learn a lot about yourself. Your confidence builds crazy because you have you have nobody to lean on but yourself when you're out there.
Yeah. I think the beauty of selling books door to door was they place you just so far away from your home, like you said.
Yeah.
Like you're so isolated. And I think a lot of people don't get into sales because of the fear of rejection. Mm-hmm. But it's almost like they fear getting rejected by people they know. Yeah. For when you're selling books, it's really easy. Yeah. Recruiting or just like like you said, a lot of sales programs you get in when it's a lot of warm leads that they're using from your network, Yeah. Versus going, halfway across the country and talking to people that you'll never see again. That gave me so much peace of just like, I don't really care what any of these people think about me. They'll never see me again.
Yeah. One of my student managers my first summer was like, well, anything that happens in Syracuse stays in Syracuse. You know? Which, my first summer didn't totally end up being the case because I got on the news and then all my buddies were texting me like, why are you wearing a satchel? Or what are those things? Fanny pack. Oh, you wearing a fanny pack out there? Blah, blah, blah. But
your buddies from home saw you with a fanny pack?
Kansas, yeah.
I never rocked a fanny pack.
I rocked the fanny pack for the first 2 summers just because it's easy to keep all your stuff in there.
Yeah.
But then after that, I was like, you know what?
You're like, it's time to start producing.
It's time to start selling some of these books, man.
I was
just polishing my fanny pack.
I'm just out here creeping people out, man.
Just causing unease and confusion.
So we decided to call this podcast the 20-something Sales Podcast.
Yeah, why don't you explain why we decided to do that? Why we, as a conglomerate, we all went in on the decision to do that.
Roy actually came up with the idea.
I like the name, though. The reason I like the name is because, well, we're 20.
Yeah.
Something.
Everyone's 20-something.
you know?
If you're in your 20s, you're 20 something.
And that's true.
That's a fact.
And that's a fact. Is that true?
That's true.
That's true.
Roy Clancy, is that true?
That's true. Right.
Yeah. So it's the 20-something sales podcast, and it's because
what business are we in, Logan? What do we do?
What do we do? You know, some people say we sell life insurance.
What do you think we do?
Dude, I think we're just taking over the world.
Oh yeah.
We're in the business of...
We're in the world domination business. That's what I tell people on the street that ask me. Lots of people come up to me on the street. Many people.
Yeah.
Lots of people. And they say, Roy, what do you do? I go, I am in world domination.
Yeah. Disguised as a life insurance salesman.
Disguised as a life insurance salesman.
Yeah.
And then I ask them, what's your phone number? I'm in the world domination business disguised as a life insurance agent.
What's your phone number?
What's your phone number?
And email.
She goes, do you want that to be a grande or did you want that to be a...
Sir, this is a Starbucks.
So was that cream or no cream? And then she hands you the tip thing. That's what I'm going to start doing, actually. I'm going to start at the end of each one of my sales calls. I'm just going to, because I've been doing some on Zoom, I think I'm just going to put up on the screen the tip, 20, 25, or 30%, and see what happens.
Yeah,
that's how you drive revenue, and that's business building right there. 101.
Dude, you know what's ridiculous?
Yeah,
is tipping. I went to Starbucks is asking for tips now. We're
walking into some murky water.
You know how did you know Starbucks is asking for tips now?
Yeah, I heard about that.
That's ridiculous.
What's the Starbucks? Pull that up. What's the Starbucks CEO?
Jamie.
Name? Yeah, pull that up, Jamie.
Oh, so
I'm Jamie and I'm Joe. Starbucks.
This dude's got so many different personalities.
Howard Schultz.
So, Roy, when do you think you're gonna start
Schultz.
taking your professional comedian career a little bit more seriously?
Oh, day by day, man. Well, yeah. So tell the audience a little bit of what you do, Log, on a day-to-day basis. They're like, these guys are 20 something and they're in sales. They don't really know much else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
What do we do?
So we sell life insurance.
Disguised as world domination.
Well, yeah, we're taking over the world, but for now we're just focused on the life insurance part of that. On step one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we sell life insurance.
What kind of life insurance mainly do you sell?
We focus on final expense. So a lot of the people we talk to are older and they're getting closer to their death.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're not the guys that are reaching out to all of our friends selling them life insurance policies that they probably don't need yet. Which is nice. That's originally why I didn't sell life insurance or just kind of stayed away from it, is because I didn't want to reach out to all my friends and try to sell them stuff that they don't want.
Yeah, because when they say no, you do tell them at the beginning of the phone call, hey, I don't take no for an answer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I start every single presentation.
Yeah, how do you start your presentation? How do you start it off? I'll tell you how I start mine off.
Yeah, let's
first.
hear it.
I say, Bill, is this Bill? Hey, Bill, it's Roy. Hey, just want to let you know I know what you're up to, and I don't take no for an answer. And there's a long pause there. They either hang up there or they're super interested.
Yeah, or they respect you.
And they respect you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when they don't hang up, that's a done deal.
Yeah, it's a done deal.
They
hang up a lot.
Yeah.
But when they don't, once a week, when they don't, we're in business. But yeah, so you sell life insurance. So why did you get into life insurance? What attracted you to it? I mean, have you always thought since you were a little boy, you know at kindergarten when the teacher's like, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
And like Billy's like a fireman. And you're like, that's basic.
I said final expense.
I want to be a final expense insurance agent.
God forbid.
God forbid. So, but yeah, what got you into it, man? What interested you about it from like the get-go? So you sold, just to give everybody a timeline of Logan. So he sold educational resources door to door with Southwestern, and then you transitioned to
solar.
Yep. So energy.
Yep.
How was that, by the way? What was that transition like? So when you
that was interesting. I really enjoyed selling books. I somewhat enjoyed selling solar. Selling books was really cool because I felt like I was making a really big impact, and when you do well at selling books, you become like the famous guy in the town. Everyone loves you. You become like this little town's hero, if you will. And solar, it was not the same way. It was just you go out and almost everyone hates you every day.
That's great.
And you find like one or two people that will listen to you for a few seconds. And sometimes that'll work out.
So when people come out the door and they see you out there and you've just got solar tattooed on your forehead.
That's it. That's what it feels like.
What's that like? Because with books, your first summer, if you don't figure out the Facebook, once you figure out Facebook, people are like, oh yeah, you're that guy I saw on Facebook with my friends with all the books and blah, blah, blah. And then the conversation, at a certain point, you're pretty much only sitting down with people that have seen you on Facebook. For the most part, that's what it kind of feels like. But with solar, they don't really have that, right?
Yeah.
It's just a different type of game.
It's a different game.
It's all just cold.
It's all cold. Yeah.
Cold.
Yeah.
Like that is like door to door.
That's objection handling. That's what it is. And there's a lot of guys.
I'm sure you learned a lot from the objection handling.
Yeah. There's guys that crush in solar. Yeah. I did pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's guys that figure it out and do really well. It's just a whole different ball game. And with the industry, the areas that are really good for solar have been hit by this point by so many different directions that I think homeowners are just in the areas that get a lot of sun and that I worked at. It was just very hit. Like the homeowners were kind of tired of the solar guy knocking on the door, but there's still guys that crush and figure it out and whatnot. But yeah,
that transition though, what was that like?
So it was pretty fun. Southwestern was a lot more of a program. Solar felt kind of more just like a sales job. So Southwestern, it was like you're learning a lot every day. Going out there 80 hours a week. You're working on developing yourself and all that stuff. Solar kind of felt more of like more of like a job, just like more of like a work-life balance sort of thing.
Because you're only out there, how many hours a day?
It kind of depends.
6 days a week? 5 days a week? 6 days a week?
6 days a week.
Weekends, right?
Yeah, Saturdays. Saturdays are always good days
Sundays?
for door to door. Sundays, no. Yeah.
Got it. So you would do like a morning meeting, you explained to me in the morning, and then you guys would just kind of go work out or do whatever.
Yeah, well, we would work out in the morning, then go to meeting, and then we'd go hit the doors until night, and then we'd come home.
Then come back, yeah.
Yeah.
And you were out there for what, 5 months, 4 months? Because you were in Florida and then you were in Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, I think I sold for 7 months of the year.
And they kind of have like a little bit of a program, right? Like you start off as a setter and then you transition to a closer.
Yeah, that's also a big difference of selling books compared to solar is when you're selling books, like the days fly by. Oh, yeah. You work more, but the days
when you're sitting
fly
down
by.
with family after family
because
after family.
You're sitting down with families for like 20 to 30 minutes at a time.
At least.
If
you're doing the job right.
Yeah.
Some people it's
well, I was always in and out in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But that time flies by versus solar, even when you get like someone's as a setter and you get someone's power bill, like you're in and out in 2 minutes still.
Wow.
So you're always just like
next.
Yeah, you're always just dealing with
how many
the door
conversations did you have, do you think, per day in solar? Like a good
Not
day
enough.
in solar.
Not enough. I feel like
how many interactions? Like they answer the door.
Dude,
Not interested.
I don't even remember.
No.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
But still not enough. But yeah, I mean, you learn from all that stuff. Like I'm really glad I did solar just because I learned a lot about honestly, I just learned a lot about like how houses work. Just all the nitty-gritty stuff of a house from homeowners. And then you also just learn a lot about like interest and loans and all this stuff that I just
had no idea.
I just had no idea how any of that stuff works.
Dude, I used to think when somebody said they owned a $500,000 house that they had $500,000.
Yeah.
I didn't know about, when I was like 12 or 13, someone's like,
yeah, what's up with
how much
loans?
did you buy that one for? It's like, oh yeah, that house is worth $300,000. I'm like, geez, how much do they make a year? I don't know, like maybe $70,000. How do they afford that? I thought everybody just paid everything in cash.
Yeah.
I thought everything was like a gas station,
So how old were you when you found out loans existed?
Oh man, what, 2 days ago? Turns out I have a lot of them. Well, yeah, I've been putting everything on that magical plastic card for the past 6 years.
Dude,
Turns
credit cards, man. Credit cards can be the greatest tool for someone that knows how to use one.
So yeah, figuring out about loans, that was cool. But yeah, they can be your best friend
Or your worst
or
nightmare.
your worst nightmare. Austin Marsh. What a guy. So anyway, back to the transition from
Shout out Austin Marsh.
shouts out. But back to the transition from Southwestern to solar. And then then after one summer in solar, you pretty much done with it, or you felt like
Yeah, so I kind of hit
this.
this point. I hit this point in when I was selling solar.
Were you done with it, or was it done with you?
Dude, it was a little bit of both,
Okay.
you know? I felt a little bit chewed up and spit back out,
Right.
you know?
Yep.
Just like all the good ones.
Solar was like, well,
No, dude, I just hit a point where for me, when I'm working somewhere, like I need to know that that's where I'm going to be long term.
right.
And when I don't have that feeling, it just eats me alive. I'm just like, dude, like, I'm just so worried about what's next. If I don't feel like this is like my place, or this is not what I see myself doing forever.
Mhm.
It's like, obviously there's going to be that thing in the back of your head where it's like, what is it? What am I going to do next? And I feel like I always knew like I wasn't going to be in door to door forever. So that was kind of my problem when I was selling books and also selling solar, is like, I just knew it wasn't like my place. It wasn't my career. It was just something I was doing to learn the skills that I needed for when I find my career.
Because I mean, some people, it is their career, and they want it to be their career,
and
they have that certainty, like, this is my career, I'm gonna make it work.
And
Something about that. When somebody has certainty about something, it's like when you go to college, after 4 years you're done, so you're still gonna have anxiety of like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And then everybody's asking, what do you plan on doing? What do you plan on doing? And then most people don't end up using their major. But
or they just don't know. But I feel like a lot of people are probably in that situation where it's like, they probably don't love their job. Mm-hmm. They probably don't plan on being there till they're 70, or whenever they retire.
Oh, yeah.
And it is just it just like eats you from, you wake up and you're just like, oh, great. Like I got to go to work today. And that's just how I felt in solar still. And I also hit a point where I'm like, I don't want to recruit anyone to come do this. Like I just didn't have the conviction in it. So I was like, once I hit that spot, I was like, all right, what's next? Mm-hmm. And so yeah, that's how I found out about this. Is I kept talking to Mark Rao, who's the vice president of Southwestern. And I just kept, he kept reaching out to me. He's like, hey dude, you got to come check out this thing that Austin's doing. He's crushing it. He knew exactly kind of what I was looking for in like a career and a job. So, and this lined up like perfectly. Like I just wanted to, I wanted to be my own boss, Mm-hmm. I wanted to have no, I never wanted a salary job. Like any salary job was out of the question, just because
$2 billion a year.
Where do I sign?
Salary. No, I know what you mean.
No, if you had a $2 billion a year salary, you're doing some creepy.
That's what the president makes, right?
You're doing some creepy stuff.
Some creepy stuff, man.
No, but yeah, so it just lined up. Like I wanted to build something. I wanted to build a company. I wanted the freedom of, being my own boss. Not for the sole fact of like I want to work the hours I want to work. Like I'm always going to work the hours that I need to be successful. I just don't like people breathing down my neck,
Yeah.
And
you mean that literally or figuratively?
Figuratively, yeah.
Okay.
Well, honestly, both.
Dude, I wonder where that phrase came from, because I've never had anybody actually physically breathe down my neck. But the more you think about
my
it,
boss is just breathing down my neck, and the guy's like, "That's a good saying." And he's like, "No,
like literally, he's breathing down my neck."
Like, dude, I gotta start wearing turtlenecks. Yeah, no, that's creepy.
So you didn't want your boss breathing down your neck,
yeah,
figuratively.
Yeah, and here we are. Austin does it every day. Yeah, comes in my office.
We'll edit that out. No, we'll leave that in there.
We'll leave that one in there. No, Austin's great.
Every time we knock somebody down at the end, you always ease it over by saying, "Oh no, but he's great." Anyway, just destroy his reputation. No, but he's okay. What were you saying?
But no, yeah. So that's how I found out about this, and dude, I'm just so grateful. Like this is by far, I like actually genuinely believe that this is like the best opportunity and the best industry that exists if you're a salesperson.
Like, why is that?
Dude, it's awesome. Like everything about it. I literally can't believe it. Like you're in sales, like especially if you've done door to door where you're just cold calling, like the switch from talking to people that don't know you and don't want anything to do with you, where you're creating a need for them. That's such a good skill to learn. But but when you get into something where you're talking to people who are already genuinely interested in what you have to offer and are like willing to listen to you, that's all. Like if you're a sales guy, what else could you want? Like it's an interested prospect that wants to know about what you're selling. Yeah, that's awesome. So that in itself,
you kind of take that for granted after a while. I mean, you don't really think about that. I mean, how often does somebody, as a salesperson, come to you? And when they do, it's like a unicorn. You're like,
yeah, you don't expect that to happen again for a while, you know? So yeah, just being in an industry where that exists and people just genuinely want your products. And then usually when that's the case, you just don't make very much as a sales guy because you're talking to people that want your stuff. But that's like, it's just such a cool industry because you still make a really good amount of money and you're just genuinely able to help people get what they're looking for, you know, and like give them that peace of mind and all that stuff. And then on top of that, when you're working with clients like that, you don't have to worry about as many cancellations. Like a lot of industries, you're averaging like 20 to 30% cancellation rate, especially if you're in a more high ticket sale, probably more than that. It's just like, you know, the luxury of maybe having like 1 or 2 cancellations a month, which is on the, you know, probably the conservative side, but
yeah, sure.
You know, you know,
and as you get better, just like anything, you're gonna see less and less of that. Yeah. Better at qualifying people, setting up what's right for them. But
yeah, just like the beauty of it. Like I cannot believe how little amount of cancellations exist in this industry. What else? What else is awesome about it?
What else?
You know,
what do you not like? Like what would you say you don't like?
Yeah, that's
like
a good
what did
question.
you like about solar or selling books that maybe you're not gonna get currently?
Yeah, I think, dude,
or no, you're not getting currently.
One of the most,
obviously you're not outside, so that's probably one.
That's what I was gonna say is like being outside and like,
nice.
Dude, it's so and it's just like getting sun all day.
It's
like
actually seeing people, seeing people face to face. I mean, you can do this job face to face. Currently, that's not how we're set up.
You can do face to face. The beauty of telesales is amazing, though. Yeah. Like being able to
talk to anybody,
to anyone, and like not having an appointment show up is just means you have to call someone else.
To drive 20, 30 minutes. You just call the next person. Yeah. And what I've been working on is like, you know, different type of lead where we're actually doing on Zoom too. So that's been
cool.
Fun. Like,
how have you been liking
getting on Zooms with people? Oh, it's so much fun, man. It feels like that taste of the book field again, where I'm like revitalized by just human interaction, you know, instead of, you know, and I give them the option, like if you want to do it on the phone or via Zoom. And when they hop on Zoom, it's way warmer. They see that you're a real person, you know?
Yeah.
But on the phone is still great. Like the idea that you can, I was just thinking about this the other night. The idea that you can go anywhere, like technically you could go anywhere in the US or sometimes even outside of the US and run your business with your laptop and a cell phone is nuts. You know?
It is.
And for the people that have heard of, you know, Alex Hormozy or the $100 million leads, that's basically the same setup that he has in place is what we're doing and what we have in place, which is pretty cool too. Because I read that book like when it first came out like 2 years ago when I was living in Arizona, 2 years ago. I remember thinking, man, it'd be so cool to set up and I was trying to set up some type of like online business. Actually, I got into like lead generation websites and I bought one for
was that like a course that you bought online?
No, just my buddy was into it and he was he taught me about it.
What do you think about courses, online courses?
Not good. I've seen a lot of no, I think it can not good. It depends, man. I mean, I think 90% of them you could just find on YouTube. But I think when you're paying for something, you're going to take it more seriously. You know, you've got some skin in the game.
Yeah, who needs an online course when you got the 20-something sales podcast?
Hey, boom, boom, boom.
They'll teach you everything you got to know.
Well, actually, I just joined a course like last week, so I actually did.
Really?
And dude, it's paid dividends. Like this guy that's in the niche that I've been working on. He had a school group for the people that know school. That's like Alex Hermosi partnered with them, and that's pretty cool. Like, cause they have webinars and classrooms and things like that where you can learn so much for so cheap. It's like $40. The one I'm in is like $47, and the ability for $47 to learn a new skill set that'll make return on investment 10x, 20, like way more than, like with college. I mean, I think college is, we don't even have to get into this conversation, but
Roy didn't go to college, by the way. Let's pre-frame this.
I went to 1 year, community college, 2 community college.
What does Roy think about college? I went to the
Highland Community College. Do you want to talk about that right now?
Yeah. What does Roy think about college?
Oh boy.
You're going to step on
some
toes here.
Getting into the murky waters. No, I think it's great, man. Definitely a great investment, and and
pays off for most people.
Pays off for everybody.
Everyone, yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And the coolest thing is every degree that you get, that thing's just worth just $1 million.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I had more degrees.
How many do you have?
We don't have to get into that, man. No, I think most people kind of agree. People that are level-headed agree that college is great and useful for
partying. For
partying. No, I mean, if you're an engineer, doctor, lawyer, things like that. I'm of the mindset. If you have my brother's an anesthesiologist, and you can't just learn that on YouTube.
You don't think so?
Maybe. I'll have to look into that.
Dude, I'm willing to bet that you can learn anything on YouTube.
I bet you could too.
Well,
but I mean, so college is great. I just think it's incredibly overpriced. I mean, I saw a chart, I don't know, a couple months ago that was talking about the amount of income that, Americans make per year and the cost of college. Like when our parents went to college,
dude.
My parents are a little bit older than your parents, but like when my dad went to college, I mean, I think it was like 2 nickels and a button and an apple. Got you for the whole year. I think they paid
That's
him
crazy
to go to college.
Talk about inflation.
Senior year.
2 nickels, a button, and an apple.
Yeah, but whatever you had in your pocket.
Where'd you get that one from? Oh, if Roy's just naming the things he currently has in his pocket.
Yeah, I'm just naming all the things I got in my pocket. But no, I think if a kid, I think most people can agree with this, especially people that are listening to a sales podcast. But if a kid can take out...
When did we start talking about sales?
Oh, this is about sales?
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Sorry, guys.
We should probably start talking about sales.
This is our first time.
Well, we're selling them on college right now.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm a college. I don't know, other than the piece of paper, the institution, the networking, which... I think the networking can be great. I think you can find groups specifically what you want to do outside of college, obviously.
Yeah, like for me.
I think it's overpriced. I think it's ridiculously overpriced. And I think most kids that go to college end up coming out with this mindset of entitlement and that they deserve, which can be good. I think if you think that you deserve X, Y, and Z, you might go out and actually get X, Y, and Z. But I think a lot of people come out of college with, and I think the mindset's kind of shifting, but a lot of people come out of college expecting to make $100,000.
Yeah, I can
see.
And
just the reality
I can
is
see a really
if you don't
big
sell
turn.
something, if you don't own something, or if you don't have a super specific need in the marketplace, you're not going to make 6 figures your first year.
I can see a really big turn in the future of less people going to college.
Oh, yeah.
Probably pretty soon.
Yeah, especially with the amount of money people make in, labor, whatever you call it, blue collar jobs.
Yeah, it's probably
like plumbers, electricians. You get part of a union. You go through the whole. I have a lot of buddies that are in blue collar work, and they take home a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a lot of friends that didn't go to college that are in sales that do well.
You do have a lot of friends that didn't go to college.
Yep. I do.
A lot. Every
one of them. Every single one of them didn't go. Well, actually, most of them didn't graduate, grade school. But
yeah, dude, college is crazy. College is like a $50,000 to $100,000 piece of paper.
Yeah. Yep.
That just says, hey, I can do things that people tell me to.
And I think the idea that you get outside of your parents' nest egg and you go make it on your own and blah, blah, blah. But the reality is, most people are paying on their debt. I remember my first semester in college, and this explains how smart I was in high school. But in my pre-algebra class in my freshman year in college, I think it was trigonometry or algebra 2, my professor went to UMD, University of Minnesota for his undergrad, and then he got his master's / PhD. I think it was just his master's from Boulder. So out of state in Boulder, and there's so many stories of this, but he was showing us his chart, like his student loan chart, and the lump sum payment that he just made and how much he had left, because most people just pay on the minimum and the interest. And so they're not paying down the principal, they're just paying the interest. So it's like you pay the interest and then it just pops right back up.
Yeah.
You pay the interest, it just pops right back up. And most of the jobs that you get with that degree, if you don't transition to sales or get and then you got to go back to get a master's to get a higher degree. And then it's like, it's just this never ending loop to where you're 50 years old and you're still paying on your college. And then you got to buy this super nice house. You got to buy the nice cars.
You get a midlife
crisis.
crisis.
You've got that debt. You've got the car debt. Pretty soon here, I'm going to turn into Dave Ramsey, man. But yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, obviously, I didn't graduate college, but most of my siblings did, and I've got 15 million of them. And
Roy's got it. 10?
10. Not most of them. I'd say like 50-50. But like my one brother, he's a real estate agent and he does really well. I think he'll do like 60, 70 houses this year. And he has a finance degree. And I remember when he was in his senior year, just being like, man, like I'm just going to finish it just because I'm 3 years in.
That's where I was at.
Like I'm just going to finish it because I've gotten 75% of the way in. And I don't think that's how people, not a knock against my brother, but that's not how I want to make decisions, because to me, that's just sunk cost. It's like if you're getting a finance degree, economics, one of the rules, I'm not that stupid, but like that's
good.
That's sunk cost.
I remembered from one of the.
That's the only thing I remember from college, sunk cost.
Micro and macro economics.
Macro, yeah. Failed the class, but I did remember that term. No, I'm kidding.
It's because the teacher hated me.
Yeah, he had it out for me, man. But what do you think about college?
Dude, I think I'm kind of mixed because I think college is worth it if you take advantage of it. I think if you go to college and you're just there for that piece of paper and you think that piece of paper is going to set you up, it's not, I think you got to go to college. For me, I went to college. Because I knew I didn't want to do manual labor. And I figured if I don't go to college, I have to do manual labor, which isn't true, obviously.
But that was always what was like preached.
Yeah, it was like
I'll let you finish.
Yeah. But so yeah, I went to college and I think I just did it right where I was like actually actively looking for things to do in college that was going to set me up, And obviously, I don't think I would have heard about Southwestern unless I did go to college. So like I'm very glad that I did. Otherwise, there's probably a really good chance my life would look a lot different right now. So yeah, I think it just kind of depends on what you do in college and what opportunities you take advantage of. I think you build a lot of relationships. I think if you join like the right clubs, you join fraternities, you meet a lot of people, you get to figure out, you know, who's kind of on the best track for what you kind of want your life to look like. And you just, kind of pick and choose.
Yeah, it's kind of a catch-22 because it's like, you have no idea what your life would have been like without it. So you can't say, I wish I didn't go because you can't go back in time.
Yeah. And a lot of the, like I built a lot of relationships that I wouldn't have built that, if
and the reality is if somebody doesn't go to college, the odds of them, the statistics are pretty clear on people that don't go to college versus people that do. And it's also true that it's incredibly overpriced.
Oh, yeah, it's horrible.
Especially today with the freedom of information that we have. Like, 40 years ago, it's not like you had YouTube, Wikipedia. You didn't have the internet. So you had to learn from a professor that knew all the stuff. You had to read the books. And then college is great, too, because you're paying for it. So then you actually want to learn more, because you're paying for it. So, yeah, it's a catch-22 because it's like, well, yeah, I wouldn't have these friendships and I wouldn't have this and blah, 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 blah.
I think college does set you up on a better path.
Why does it say?
It gives you a better chance of success, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it just kind of depends on if you take advantage of it or not.
So-
Because there's a lot of people that don't go to college and they still take advantage of a bunch of information that's out there and they crush it, build super successful companies. You don't really need a degree to build a company, you know?
Sure.
You need a degree to work at a company.
Yeah. Most people, I mean, you do need employees. Like, but yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. And most people don't want to own or run a business because it's a lot of work, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like the amount of work that you got to put in, and then it might not work out.
So what's your plan to take down the big college
institutions? Well, I'm actually partnering with Pfizer, and we're going to make it happen. Me, Pfizer, and RFK are going down to Broadway, and
You're vaccinating everyone.
We're just going to put it all of them. We're actually working on something, right? It's a vaccine that actually
goes through the air.
It goes in through the air. It's what do they call that? I was just talking to my boy Tony the other day. The Fauchmeister. The Foucher. Gamma something?
Gamma Delta.
Gamma Delta, yeah.
Mm.
Yep. No, my plan is to take him out from the inside. So I'm going to get a bachelor's, a master's, and a PhD, and then work my way back into the system like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Take him out from the inside, become a professor, and then in office hours when my students come to me asking for advice, I'm just going to kind of whisper to them like, "You sure you want to be here?" And just one by one, you know.
Yeah.
It's a collective effort, but you know, we'll start a actually put my Venmo up on this. Put my Venmo up on here. We got that started. We got my
we'll get it funded.
And we'll get it funded. So
what
anyway,
what do you like about living in Nashville?
What do I like about living in Nashville? I like that they got a farmer's market where I bought this hat.
Nice.
I'm kind of going, I think I changed my style up. So I'm going big time, what do you call these? Birkenstocks? Loafers?
Yeah.
Yep.
Carhartt.
That's how I'm going now. Carhartt. This was a lot more than I thought it was going to
be.
be.
Yeah.
Carhartt's, man, good brand.
Those puppies will last forever, though.
They'll last forever, though.
And if you end up homeless, that thing will keep you warm.
You kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah. But one thing I like about Nashville, a lot of music. There's a lot of country music. Like I saw Post Malone a couple weeks ago, so that was cool for his country album. Went to like a Christian conference last night called Think.
Oh, yeah. How was that?
That was pretty good. It's pretty cool. You know, a little outside of my comfort zone. I'd never been to a Christian conference like that before.
Really?
Yeah.
What was it? Was it like a bunch of different speakers or what?
Yeah, they had people from all over the place. There was even this speaker from South Africa there. Yeah.
Did it kind of feel like a church? Like, did it feel like church?
Yeah. I mean, it was at a church.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of felt like church. A little different than my church. My church, I'm a Catholic, so it's like, you know, not as much, you know, it's like the mass is a lot different than Christian church. But it was cool. I thought it was a good message. That was cool. There's always something going on. I mean, when I was living in Denver, it was a blast because I had a lot of friends there. But I never really got out into the community. Like I never really felt like I was like branching out, checking stuff out, finding new places. Because again, kind of like what we were talking about before, like I didn't see myself there long term. So it was kind of like, well, what's the point?
Yeah, that makes
you know,
sense.
like I don't like to decorate my apartment even because I have a lease on it. So I know that, you know, like.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I'm like, well, I'm just gonna have to take the nails out of the, you know, if I'm gonna want to put a picture up and put plaster on it at the end of it, and that's extra work. Yeah. So for 12 months, I'm just living in I don't even turn the water on, man. I shower at the YMCA. No, Nashville is great though. I like it. What do you like about Nashville?
Dude, Nashville's awesome. There's always something to do.
Yep.
If you're bored, it's your fault. I also just like the people here, dude. I feel like the people in Nashville are just like put together well. Like as long as you stay away from Broadway.
Yeah.
Like if you're going anywhere, like
once a month.
Yeah, once a month. But yeah, you go into your local Walmart here, people just seem a little bit more normal than, you know, a local Walmart in Arkansas, you know?
Yeah.
So I like that part. I think the people here are just like,
and the people who kind of got stuff going on, man. You ask everybody what they're doing, and they're usually writing songs for him or her or whatever.
Yeah, they'll just start singing.
Yeah,
like, hey, what are you up to?
Somebody on the street what they're up to, and they just start singing.
Or they'll pull out a guitar out of their pocket. You're like, how'd you get that thing in there? You know?
Yeah. So they're like magician musicians.
Yeah,
and that's pretty cool.
It is really cool.
There's a lot going on, man. There's a lot of people. Obviously, a lot of people are moving to Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people love Nashville. Price of housing. I mean, you tried to buy a house last week. Price of housing.
Oh yeah, dude, it's nuts. Nashville's not cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking at a few more today.
Are you actually?
Yeah, I just pulled out of that contract with that other house.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Unfortunate. It was a cool house, but
yeah, inspections, man. Termites, man.
Man,
it was
bugs.
covered in termites. Yeah, we walked in. Well, I was with you. We walked in and it was just covered. The realtor was covered in termites. You know,
Yeah.
It's fine, man. Sign the contract.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was kind of weird.
I shouldn't
other
have signed
than
that. Yeah, anyway. All right, before we wrap up here, should we or how do you feel like our first podcast went?
Well, I don't know. I think we're just kind of working the kinks out, kind of figuring out what this thing's actually.
Yeah, we're getting
be.
used to talking into microphones.
Just getting used to. Yeah, I was a little nervous kind of hopping up here at first, but now I'm feeling pretty good. I don't even know what this thing's supposed to be. Like, what are we supposed to talk about? Like,
well, that's a cool part about a
technical
podcast.
sales stuff, or you know,
just try to add value.
Yeah,
I think.
hopefully people know us a little bit better without even knowing who we are, kind of what we do. But now people know we're 20 something.
We are 20,
and we are
doing sales.
In sales.
And we don't necessarily always know what we're talking about, but we've learned a lot.
We've learned a lot, and we're going to share that with the world.
Yeah.
You know. But
what advice would you give someone that might just be like really fresh into their sales experience or career? I know that's kind of putting you on the spot, but
what advice would I give to somebody that's fresh in the sales career?
Yeah, just like super simple, like just kind of like the basic fundamental of like.
Well, you got to get it. You better have a really good leader.
Yeah.
A really good leader that has done exactly what he's telling you to do.
That's good.
And has been successful at it, if not very successful at it. That's the biggest thing. Because if you get around somebody who's just telling you what to do, or hasn't done what they're asking you to do, eventually you're going to leave and move on, and you'll be basically wasting time. Or worse, you never want to go into sales ever again because you had a horrible leader experience. So I think getting into something where you have a system in place, if you're just getting into sales, and soaking up as much advice from that person as humanly possible, and just sticking to your schedule. Stick to your schedule. Hopefully they have a script. Stick to the script and just do it day in and day out. And you got to have you got to have a goal, you know. I always, at first I never really understood why goals were important, because it seemed like so ambiguous. Like, you just set this number goal. Like, what does that actually mean or look like? It's like, I want to make $1 million in a year. It's like, well, what would I even spend it on or do with that amount of money? Not that I'm making $1 million yet a year, but I think the important thing is when you have a goal, it fires you up to actually go and get what you got to get done that day.
Like
and then you wake up with energy, and you get creative, because when you have a big goal, you have to get creative.
I hope you guys are writing this stuff down.
But first, starting off, you got to get around the right people. You got to have a good system in place, good sales talk, and you got to follow somebody that you respect and has done what you want to accomplish. That's the easiest thing for anybody in sales. Find somebody that's doing what you want to do, and just listen to every word that they're saying and do exactly what they tell you to do.
Yeah.
At least starting off, and then you can get more creative later on.
It's true. And just so many leadership is just so important, because if your leader is not sitting there putting in the same amount of effort and work that you're doing.
Oh yeah. Forget about it.
Yeah. Whether they're, obviously they're probably really successful, but that's just not an excuse to,
Yeah. I would say beware recruiters that have not sold.
Yeah. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's gold. Sweet.
Boom. Well, we'll see you next week. This was the 20-something Sales Podcast with Logan Merritt and Roy Clancy. And how should we end these things? We should come up with like a one-liner.
Stay creepy, Nashville.
Stay creepy, Nashville.
All right. See you guys.
See ya. Boom.